kind of thought that I wasn't really a Christian because I never had that moment that people talk about, that moment where you're like saved or you realize like God has touched you or something like that. Like I've never really had that moment where you feel completely connected to the Lord or something like that. Like my entire life I've kind of like, I've been very like, literal about everything. I've been literal about what I hear, what I read. And so just to like think about the Lord in a way that's like a way that you know that the human brain can't begin to fathom, that like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, that's just, it's always been so hard for me to grasp. So, I mean, ever since I was little, I've grown up in a Christian household, and my parents did a really good job of like exposing us to different forms of Christianity and being able to kind of embrace God and embrace yourself. So I spent most of my like youth in sanctuary, like up until I was like, I don't know, 11? I don't know. But that was a kind of diverse church, and it kind of is where I like went to Sunday school every day, and it was like the most traditional. Sorry, I'm so tired. But it's kind of like, that's where I kind of was learning the most about God. And that kind of felt more like school to me. It's like, okay, you learn this Bible story, then you learn this Bible story, and you're just like, what does it mean? Like, it doesn't connect, the dots don't connect. Like, I never felt anything. Like, no matter how much I learned, I haven't like been able to really like feel it, you know? Like, I know there's a higher power, even though I struggled with that when I was younger too, especially when, so I went to Breck from 1st through 4th grade, and that was a very different experience. I was the only black girl in my grade for like 2 years, I think. So, I mean, I kind of struggled with identity. I struggled with knowing, like, I mean, we did, it wasn't an Episcopal church, Episcopalian? Okay, so we went to chapel like every few days or something like that, but I still didn't really feel connected to the Lord. I didn't really feel connected to anything. So I grew up my whole life in North Minneapolis, so I didn't feel connected to the people there, and I didn't feel connected to the people at Breck. So it was all kind of confusing for me, and I still didn't feel connected to the Lord, even though I was taught about it every Sunday, and my parents talked about it and seemed so strong in their faith. I never really felt that. I never felt that connection. I just felt like, okay, I am. Like, if someone asks you, you are. Like, it's just like what I am. And so, when I was in 5th grade, I switched to Harvest Prep, which was a very different experience for me. And I was skipped 2 grades, and I was bullied pretty badly. And that was like the hardest time of my life because I didn't really know who I was. I mean, this is like the first experience where I've really been like aware of being surrounded by people that live in the same neighborhood as me, that are of the same color as me, but then like I'm not accepted there. And it was the strangest thing for me, and it was like the hardest time of my life. And I was like, okay, so if God is like there and he cares for all of his children, then why doesn't he care for me right now? Because I felt so lonely, and I felt so like tired of just being this person that's beaten on like so much. And I mean, I didn't feel as smart as I always felt when I was younger. Like, I don't know, it just kind of all got weird, and I didn't know where I was. And I kind of pushed like everything away. Like, I was like, okay, I'm not even gonna think about religion. I'm gonna think about God. Like, doesn't even matter right now, obviously, because nothing happened to me when I went to that school. And then after that, I switched to Anthony, which was, it was a different experience too, because all these kids have gone to like had this normal childhood, and I was like, my childhood was not normal at all. And so I kind of came in a little shy, and I was just a smart girl again. But I realized as I was going through that, and as I still go through life, like I realized that all my experiences have made me a much more compassionate person. Like, I can't like imagine how many times like I'm the only one out of my friends that notices when someone's like alone, or when someone has this certain thing about them. Like, that happens so much because like throughout all of my experiences, like I just like have it in my heart. Like, I feel so strongly with people, you know? Like, I always remember, like, whenever I would get hurt, and still when I get hurt or sick or something, like, my dad is, like, the best with that. It's like he feels your pain. It's like he feels it. It feels so good to have someone feel your pain with you. So it's nice to have that. And so whenever someone else is, like, Oh no, it just feels so good to feel it with someone else, you know, to understand it, to be that person that's like, okay, this is enough, this is too much, whatever. Like, that's how I kind of feel that I am. Like, I've been that person that's excluded, I've been that person that's on the outside, I've been that person that everyone thinks of as only the smart one, and like so many things. Like, I think that God led me to those experiences so that I can do something with my life, because I know that I'm not gonna just have a day-to-day job and just do whatever, send my kids to church so they go to church and just think, okay, this is what I am. Like, I want to be able to be that person that makes a change and that helps people and like feels with those people. And so even though I haven't had that moment yet, like that moment where you know that God's there or God's with you, like I know that God, like I know that He's like has this presence, and I know that He's calling me to do something. And throughout everything I've like gone through, He's calling me to do something with my life, and that's really beautiful. And I want to be able to do that, and I feel so good about being able to do that. So it's awesome.
Thank you.